Hello everybody, I hope everybody's well and okay. Well, welcome to General Chit Chat. I didn't have time at all this morning to do it and I am sorry, but I'm now up to doing it right now. So this is part 4 of my series of life events that can impact your life. And this one is about ill health, injury, and injury which may impact your life, especially if it's a life-changing condition. Now, a good example to set, I suppose, sadly, is my Richard. Richard was very, very successful in his career. Until he had everything going for him. He was a young man and he had a very, very good job. And he also, him and his wife at the time, which wasn't me, they also owned a house and was renting it out to a family. He was doing very well for himself, and then everything changed for him drastically. He got cancer. But he was, with the cancer, he was still able to work to some degree. He got treatment. He had a year off because of the treatment, but he still wanted to work because at the end of the day, they had a mortgage to pay for, him and his wife. She worked as well, apparently. So money was coming in and they could do it. So he had his radiotherapy and things were good. But then, unfortunately, he had a stroke. And that's when things really had an impact. Because of the stroke, everything changed. He changed. He changed because things weren't the same. It could no longer, his memory just vanished. He now had epilepsy as well. He also had he could no longer hear people on the phone because his job at that time was communication. It was very, very much in communicating with people. That was the role he was in. Whether it by phone or whether by face to face. So, and with the role he was in, he had to be good at having a rapport with people, be confident, all those types of things. He was very, very high up in what he did as a job. He could no longer multitask. That's the word I was trying to think of before. He could no longer multitask. So he could no longer work. And it took an awful strain on his life and on his marriage too, sadly. There's a lot of other things with Richard. You see, I've only ever known Richard this way, as most of you know. The Richard you've met is the Richard I know and love. I always ask about how he was before I met him. I ask his family all the time, how was he, and before he was poorly, and he's never lost his sense of humour. He's always had that dry sense of humour. So everything changed. And they ended up, the marriage came to an end. He could no longer work. And so financially they were struggling. And also what was worse is the fact that the tenants of the house they'd bought was taking them for a ride, which added to the pressure. They wouldn't pay the rent. So that added to the strain of it all. And so Richard, I have set as an example for this subject because it can be dramatic when you're so used to working. I mean, Richard's had always worked. He'd always worked from leaving school. And then suddenly you can't, and so he could no longer pay the bills himself, and his ex-wife was sort of stressed, is probably the right word for it. Stressed because she was trying to make ends meet. So everything took its toll, really, and that's why it didn't work as a marriage. Too much had happened, and that's why things ended the way they did, on mutual ground. And So then he just went back to living. They lived in Devon, and then he came back to Liverpool when the relationship ended, and they managed to get divorced. So it is sad. Stroke victims, it can also mean you can no longer drive. When you're so poorly, it's just all about the recovery. It's same with an injury. And it's about supporting your family, and it's all an added stress, especially if you have got a mortgage or rent or whatever it is you have to pay, if you're in debt, because that's how debts mount. And you're in crisis then. You are in crisis. Illness can just happen. It can happen anytime to anybody. It's just really, really sad when you hear a story like Richard's. He was so successful. And I bet plenty of people it's happened to. They've had a great career and they're right at the top, and then all of a sudden it just falls down in front of your eyes. So sad. My story isn't as bad as Richard's is, but in some respect, I suppose it's in there. Like, I was at college and I was doing nursery, working at nurseries and things. And then when that didn't work out, I was looking for a job, and I got a job in a warehouse. And I got very stressed. And that's when everything came to a toll. And my mental health just took over, and I could no longer handle things at all. So all of a sudden I'm poorly in hospital to get my mind right. So then I ended up on medication. And so it took a long time for me to get out of that world, that nightmare I was in. It took an awful long time, but I did. And then one day I was no longer on the tablets because I had some tablets. I had things for depression and everything. I wasn't a well person at all. But then it's always there. When you go for a job interview, which I did, and I finally did get a job, but it took a good while to get something again, because there is a stigma around mental health, and there probably always will be, because every job I went for, I mean, it's really getting a job now, but when I was looking for work, just to get an interview was hard, because I was absent from work because of illness 10 years. It took me 10 long years to get right with my mind. And 10 years is an awful long time to be out of the system, to be out of work. And so getting a job wasn't easy. When I started looking for work, all the job centre could offer me at the time was sort of like agency work, and that's no good, not really. But I was very foolish as well, because when I got this agency job, I only did about 3 days, and I wasn't good enough. It was like a packing job, you know. I was no good. And but silly me rang up, you know, who did I ring, or was it the job centre, or I can't remember who it was, and I said, I've got a job now. But I was such a fool, and so I lost all my benefits, and the agency, after 3 days, that was it. They weren't interested in me because I was not good enough. I didn't have the knack for it whatsoever. Dear me. But anyway, I've gone off track again, haven't I? But the point I'm making is it does impact your life on every score, not just work, it's all what's around too. In a way, it's lucky Richard and his wife didn't have any kids, because it would have made sort of, it could have been really, really stressful. That's all I can put to it. Really stressful, and I don't know. So there you go. For anybody who's been in these situations, I'm so sorry that it's happened to you. I really am. So if this has happened to anybody recently, my heart goes out to you, and there is support out there, such as the Citizens Advice. There's a lot of charities as well who support people with lifelong illness. Okay? Like Richard and I are part of stroke charities. And I'm also part of a carers charity. If you ever end up being a carer for anybody, there is charities to do with carers organisations where you can get support if you need it. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. 21 minutes has gone. I know it's mostly been about Richard, but I was just setting an example on how difficult it was when he became poorly. Okay. It can be so dramatic, but there is support out there as well. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and a subscription. As always, it does mean so much to us. Please check out all my other videos and content, as you may find them interesting. Thank you to my current subscribers and hopefully future subscribers, as you will all be amazing. I've still got content downloading. Okay. And this will be added to the list very, very soon. There will be a part 5 on general chit chat. So hopefully I'll be able to do that, and that will conclude this series of events, life-changing events that can impact your life. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your night, whatever you're doing. I probably will do another video with you. I probably will. So please watch out for that. So I'll see you later. Okay, bye.